What's the biggest bullet you've ever dodged?
Sold my bar and grill business in August 2019.
I was a teen driver not paying attention at an intersection at the crest of a hill with low visibility when the light turned green. The car behind me honked, and just as I was about to go, a truck barreled through the red light on the perpendicular road at decidedly ludicrous speed. If I had been paying attention and gone when the light turned green, I very likely would have been T-boned to death. Closest call I've ever had.
This one just materialized yesterday, actually. About a year ago at my job, I was offered to switch from my current team, where I was established for a few years, had seniority, etc., for a new department that just started to kick it off, right processes, basically start from square one. A lot more work for the same amount of pay. I figured fuck it and went. Yesterday they announced that they just closed the physical HQ office for my old department, and everyone in that entire part of the company would have to either move to one of 14 random states that we can't pick. It's chosen basically by a roulette wheel for where you're going, to a local office, or they're going to be fired on June 22nd. Thankfully, since I'm part of the new department, I wasn't included in that mandate. Phew.
I was out kayaking on a lake and several bullets whizzed by me. There was a distinct buzz sound as it went by. I think some people were just out plinking in their backyard, adjacent to the lake, and didn't think a backstop was necessary. This also happened to me a few weeks later when I was paddling on a small stream. Bullets whizzed by above the bank, just over my head. I don't think anyone knew I was there either time. Regardless, when you go out and shoot stuff, make sure there's a backstop, FFS. Also, I don't know how big the bullets were, so I'm unsure which was the biggest bullet dodged.
As a dead guy, I would be so pissed off to learn my life ended because I was floating in a goddamn boat at the wrong second.
About 6 months after I left my ex, he got caught sexting a 12-year-old, he was 34 at the time. Edit, I had the wrong age. He was 34 when it started. By the time he was in jail, he was 36.
My first serious boyfriend, as an adult, is now serving time in federal prison after being busted for distributing child pornography. Absolutely horrifying. I was booked on Pan Am Flight 103, which went down over Lockerbie, Scotland. I didn't have a premonition or anything supernatural. I just decided to cancel my seat. Didn't think anything of it until the plane went down and my mother had written down my flight plan and reminded me. This was back in the day when you could cancel without a penalty up to a couple of days in advance.
Pro tip: to avoid the few days away cancellation fees, call or go online and reschedule the flight for a week or two out. Then wait a day and cancel.
Thanks for the tip.
Physically? A bus. I grew up in Bermuda, and since it is such a small island, cars are limited to one per family and everyone drives mopeds. I was driving into town and came up to a red light behind a bus. As is tradition, I scooted around the bus to be in the front of the line of traffic. Literally 2 seconds later, a second bus smashed into the back of the first bus at like 30 miles per hour. I would have been pancaked. Without question, 100% dead. I just sat on the side of the road for a bit and thought about my mortality. Edit, thank you for the awards. My only other Bermuda bus-based encounter was driving home from my first job in the rain. An oncoming bus in the opposite lane went through a massive puddle and sent what looked like a tidal wave of water right at me. It literally picked me and my little Yamaha V50 right up and swept us off the road onto some grass. So I guess in the end it was me one buses one. 2005, my friend and I evacuated New Orleans 2 days before Hurricane Katrina and drove to Mississippi with the little money we had. We were trying to decide on where to stay for the night, and it was between a mid-range hotel or the really cheap motel. Decided to spend a little more for the hotel. During the night, the eye of the storm came through Mississippi and flattened the roof of the motel we decided against.
My mom wasn't going to leave for Katrina. I told her I was going to take me and my little sister and hitchhike if she didn't pack the car and leave within the hour. My dad didn't leave and he ended up on the roof with our neighbor because our house got flooded. No way all of us would have survived. Katrina decimated my town, everything 2 miles inland or less was destroyed.
This was my first ever experience dealing with a hurricane since I'm from the Midwest and was in New Orleans for college. Hope you and your family are all safe and doing well now.
We are. We had to couch hop in Hattiesburg for a few weeks, and then I ended up spending my sophomore year in Destin, Florida. By the time school was over, the house was almost done, and I moved back in with my parents. The town did pretty good for itself too.
My ex-girlfriend moved out of my house a day before the first lockdown in Spain. She previously pulled a knife on me.
Dude, thank God. I really needed a job and the manager at a dispensary in my area offered me a spot. I said no and 4 days later they were raided and everyone got arrested.
I'm confused. Did they not have a license, or are the feds just raiding dispensaries because it's technically still illegal by federal law?
Yes, the latter exactly.